Good morning. It's the Saturday after Christmas, and when I started my campaign for the Republican National Chairmanship, I said that I'd like to bring you periodic updates of my campaign and the things that I'm learning. I want to talk to you first of all about a meeting that I had with Chairman Duncan at the Republican National Committee in Washington on the 18th, 9 days ago. I first of all want to thank Chairman Duncan for his courtesy in visiting with me. My call was just that, a courtesy call on him, and I informed him that when I started this race I assumed that the seat would be a vacant seat. He has since declared his candidacy as well. It was a nostalgic visit for me because it's the first time I had been in that office since George H.W. Bush had invited me down when he was national chairman. Chairman Duncan responded to a letter I wrote him asking for regional caucuses prior to the National Convention, National Committee meeting. I wanted a regional caucus so that we had 40 members of the RNC and in a gathering, all the candidates there, and an opportunity to discuss a number of issues. Chairman Duncan indicated that there was really no appetite for doing that kind of a thing, but there would be ample opportunity for all of the candidates to express their views in a forum sponsored by Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform, another program that I have been invited to and will be involved in, which is a conservative steering committee of the RNC, plus there would be regional breakouts at the National Committee meeting. I mentioned to Chairman Duncan that I still was trying to figure out what had happened to Republicans. The FEC has a lot of numbers, reports. It's a worthwhile site to peruse and try to understand it. But my thesis right along has been that the Republicans were overcome by money. I believe that John McCain was out of the race with Barack Obama on June 30th. On June 30th, Obama had raised almost 3 times as much money as Senator McCain. Senator McCain had about $120 million, and Barack Obama had close to $340 million. Money early, as you know, in a campaign really determines the outcome in most instances of a campaign. And I think that Senator McCain had to go to public financing out of weakness because he did not have the capacity to raise money at the clip that the Democrats were able to do. If we don't focus on that ability, we may be overwhelmed again in the next election cycle. In fact, one of the big mistakes in business and in politics is to assume that you know the answer to something. I've got that problem solved. I've already looked at that. We know what that is. I mean, that's a perfect description of the financial calamity that we face today. We already have the answers. We know what we're doing. I find in my own life experience that oftentimes I haven't asked enough questions. I don't know enough about the circumstances. I don't know enough about the situation. If we assume that the next cycle is going to be like the last cycle, we may be devastated. What if the Democrats with an incumbent president receive 3 times as many donations from small givers the next time around? What if instead of having 3 million small contributors, they have 9 million small contributors? We need to take a look at the possibilities that money affords the opposition and try to develop strategies for Republicans to compete with those various possibilities. Just looking at numbers alone doesn't tell the whole story. You take different states like New Hampshire, for example. Again, we lost 100% of our congressional delegation. New Mexico, they lost 2 of the 5 reps, 3 were Democrats. That means 100% of their reps are in the Congress are Democrats. Connecticut, we only had 1 in Connecticut. We lost that. I think to get a feeling of the extent of the party's state of current affairs, you really need to digest and spend some time talking about and looking at what happened to us, and then why did it happen to us. There's a great article in yesterday's Wall Street Journal. It's about Haley Barbour when he was chairman of the National Committee. But you know, that was 1992, 150 million years ago politically in this country. It was before 9/11. It was before Google. The world is not the same today in every aspect of politics as it was then, except for the absolute numbers in the Congress and the governors in the Senate. We need to be able to think about where the party is going and its message in the future. You know, one of the things that I think has been a real plus has been Bush's leadership during this financial crisis. I know Republicans are divided on that, and it's right to debate it. But the President and Secretary Paulson have done what they think is necessary to deal with the American economy, which is the linchpin of the world economy. These people, along with selected leaders in the Democratic Party in Congress, have done the unpopular thing, but the important thing, important for the American people and important for our world economy. I would just say to you that as we go forward, we need to find opportunities to discuss difficult issues. We need an opportunity to talk to each other, not to scold each other, and to talk to each other about why we're doing certain things. I was very disappointed in some of the Republican senators on the vote on the automobile industry. I felt they were in a real hurry to turn Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio into New England as far as the Republican Party was concerned. That needs to be discussed, and the Republican National Committee needs to take positions on important issues relevant to the country. You know, when I get an opportunity to talk to the Republican Steering Committee, I'm going to talk about two things that are going to be pretty unpopular with that group. One of them is, and I do it because a third of all political money comes from California and New York. One of them is, if I am chairman, I will go and visit Michael Bloomberg in New York, and I will try to persuade him to return to the Republican Party. Why? New York is so critical to us in terms of finances, in terms of opportunity, that for us to allow a prominent capitalist to abandon the party is, in my opinion, the wrong thing to do. I'm also going to talk to Governor Schwarzenegger in California. Now, I'm more conservative than either of these two gentlemen are by a long shot, but I think the Republican National Committee ought to take a position that we support a constitutional amendment to allow American citizens, regardless of their country of birth, to run for the presidency. Both Arnold Schwarzenegger and Governor Bloomberg are rumored to have presidential ambitions. What a great thing it would be to have them into the mix and have them offer their ideas and discuss that with the people in the party. You know, even though I consider myself to be a very strong conservative, I never met a man I disliked so much I didn't want him to vote for me. And I think that's got to be our philosophy as a political party. Thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to talking with you again.